wish to confess. I wish I was the monster you think I am.
This man has never held a castle, never won a war, got outplayed by his own sister every single time it actually mattered.
That's what I do. I drink, and I know things.
No, he doesn't. He drinks. That part's real. But the knowing things? Let's actually check the receipts on that. Because this man, this beloved, quotable, wine-sipping legend, is the most overrated mind in the history of television. And I can prove it. Not with opinions, with his actual record. Every plan, every negotiation, every catastrophic failure that you forgave because he said something funny right after. He was too funny for us to count. And that's exactly how he got away with it. Here's what Tyrion Lannister actually is. Not a political genius. Not a grand strategist. The man is a hostage negotiator. The greatest hostage negotiator Westeros has ever seen. His entire superpower, his only superpower, is talking his way out of rooms where everyone wants him dead. And that is a spectacular skill. But it is not the same thing as ruling. Not even close. But here's the problem. The show trained you to think they were the same thing. And it did it so well that you never questioned it. Until now. Season 1. The Eyrie. Sky cells. No walls. A floor that tilts toward a 600-foot drop. Tyrion is sleep-deprived, starving, and Lysa Arryn wants him dead for a murder he didn't commit. And watch what he does, because this is the exact moment the con begins. He reads his jailer. Mord. A man with the vocabulary of a brick wall. But Tyrion doesn't need Mord to be smart. He needs Mord to be greedy. 5 words.
A Lannister always pays his debts.
He turns his family name into a credit card. He buys his way out of a cell using money he doesn't even have on him. That's not intelligence. That's salesmanship. Spectacular salesmanship, but there's a difference. Then the courtroom. Lysa wants a confession, and Tyrion gives her one, just not the one she asked for.
Where do I begin, my lords and ladies? I am a vile man. I confess it. My crimes and sins are beyond counting. I have lied and cheated, gambled and whored.
Watch Tyrion's face. He knows this trial is rigged. He knows he's dead. And look at what he does with that knowledge. He doesn't argue his innocence. He performs. He turns a death sentence into a comedy show. Watch how the actor plays it. This razor-thin smirk. Just enough arrogance to own the room. Just enough restraint to keep them from throwing him out the moon door mid-sentence. And then he drops the legal hack.
I demand trial by combat.
Because he knows these people worship honor too much to say no. He didn't win because he was innocent. He didn't even have a plan past the loophole. When Lysa grants the trial by combat, Tyrion calls for his brother.
I name my brother, Jaime Lannister.
The greatest swordsman in Westeros, backed by the full weight of the Lannister army. That's the move. Invoke the family name and pray the cavalry arrives. But Jaime isn't there. Jaime is 1,000 miles away. And suddenly the smartest man in the room has a trial he demanded, a fight he can't win, and no champion. Then a sellsword he barely knows stands up.
I think we can assume that no one is willing to...
I'll stand for the dwarf.
Bronn. Not because Tyrion recruited him, not because of some master plan. Bronn did the math on his own. Fighting for Tywin Lannister's son is a high-return investment. A stranger bailed him out for a payday. That's not strategy. That's a man who jumped off a cliff, forgot to pack a parachute, and got caught by a passing eagle who happened to be in the mood. But we didn't see a lucky man. We saw a genius. Because the punchlines were too good, and the show never corrected us. Minutes later, Mountain Clansmen, blades out. They want him dead for his boots. And when Shagga asks how he wants to die, Tyrion doesn't beg. He performs.
In my own bed, at the age of 80, with a belly full of wine and a girl's mouth around my cock.
The audience laughs. We love him. He promises them weapons and land he has zero authority to give. Turns his executioners into bodyguards with nothing but charm and IOUs. But here's the part nobody asks about. In the books, those Clansmen take his weapons and become a terroristic threat to the innocent people of the Vale. Tyrion's survival creates suffering he never thinks about for a single second. And that's the pattern. Every time this man survives, he leaves a trail of wreckage behind him. His solutions don't have second chapters. They have casualties. But we don't see the casualties because the camera follows him to the next room. And in the next room, there's another punchline waiting. If that just reframed the way you see every Tyrion scene you've ever watched, that's exactly the moment people hit like. Not because I asked, but because you just caught something the show spent 8 seasons hiding in plain sight. Now here's where the con artist runs out of rooms. Daenerys Targaryen doesn't need a hostage negotiator. She needs a war general. She has 3 dragons, the Unsullied, the Dothraki, the Tyrell army, the Dornish. She could take King's Landing before lunch. She picks Tyrion. And what follows is the most spectacular losing streak in the history of fantasy television. Failure 1. Slaver's Bay. Tyrion's in charge while Daenerys is gone. The Sons of the Harpy are butchering people in the streets. His move? Sit down with the slave masters and offer them 7 years to phase out slavery. Because in Westeros, lords compromise for gold. Missandei, a woman who was actually enslaved, tells him to his face, "You do not understand these people." He pours wine. He smiles. He doesn't listen. The slavers take his deal, use the breathing room to build a fleet, and bomb Meereen from the harbor. He treated zealots like businessmen, and people burned for it. But he probably said something charming at the table, so we moved on. Failure 2. Casterly Rock. This one is almost poetic. Tyrion sends the Unsullied around an entire continent to take the castle he grew up in, his childhood obsession. He even designed the sewers they infiltrate through, a detail he's clearly proud of. One problem. The gold mines dried up years ago. Tywin knew it. And Tyrion, the man who built the plumbing, still thought the building mattered more than the war. Cersei and Jaime emptied the castle, let him walk into his childhood trophy, destroyed the Unsullied fleet behind him, and took Highgarden instead. Seized the Tyrell gold, paid off the Iron Bank, eliminated a key ally. Tyrion won a ruin, Cersei won the continent. Clever in detail, catastrophically blind in strategy. Failure 3, and this one is unforgivable, the Wight Hunt. Tyrion's plan: capture a zombie, drag it across the world, and present it to Cersei Lannister, a woman who blew up a cathedral full of people to skip a trial, in the hope that evidence and reason will change her mind.
I'll say whatever I need to say to ensure the survival of our house.
This isn't about noble houses. This is about the living and the dead.
Let me say that again. The smartest man in Westeros staked the entire war on the assumption that his narcissistic, mass-murdering sister would respond rationally to a PowerPoint presentation about zombies. And she did exactly what anyone who'd ever met her would have predicted. She lied, waited, and hired the Golden Company while everyone else fought the apocalypse. The result? A dead dragon. The Night King gets a weapon of mass destruction. The wall falls. The army of the dead invades Westeros. Everyone saw it coming. Everyone except the genius. And we still didn't question him. He probably cracked a wine joke right after, and we all laughed and we moved on. Because that's the trick. That was always the trick. That was always the trick. But here's the part that makes this a tragedy, not a rant. A tragedy. Because the Tyrion we watched in the show, he's not the Tyrion that George R.R. Martin wrote. Martin wrote a monster. He literally said it in an interview. He's the villain, of course, but hey, there's nothing like a good villain. In the books, when Jaime frees Tyrion from those cells, he doesn't just say goodbye. He confesses something. The truth about Tysha, Tyrion's first wife. She wasn't a prostitute hired by Tywin to teach his son a lesson. She was real. A crofter's daughter. And she loved him. Not his name, not his gold. Him. The only person in Tyrion Lannister's entire miserable life who looked at him and didn't see a monster. And Tywin destroyed her anyway. Had the guards assault her. Made Tyrion watch. Made him pay her a gold coin, because a Lannister is worth more. And when Tyrion asks about Tysha, where she went, what happened to her, Tywin says the one thing that ends everything. Wherever whores go. That line breaks Tyrion. Not bends, breaks. In the books he hits Jaime, swears to annihilate his family, murders Tywin not from heartbreak, from cold, deliberate, annihilating rage. And in the books, he doesn't kill Shae in a struggle. He strangles her slowly, deliberately, with a golden chain, knowing exactly what he's doing. The show erased every piece of that, because they needed Tyrion to stay lovable, so they cut the monster. And by cutting the monster, they killed the motivation. Book Tyrion doesn't go to Daenerys to build a better world. He goes to weaponize her, to aim a girl with 3 dragons at the family that destroyed the only person who ever loved him. That's a wartime hand. That Tyrion would have burned King's Landing himself and laughed while it happened. But Show Tyrion? Show Tyrion showed up in Meereen with a wine glass and a conscience. A pacifist diplomat in a war zone. And the writers spent 3 seasons wondering why every plan he made fell apart. The plot needed a killer. They'd written a counselor. And the distance between those 2 things is the real reason Tyrion Lannister failed. So here's my question, and I'm not asking it lightly. Which scene was it? Which exact scene made you believe Tyrion Lannister was a genius? The trial by combat? The Blackwater? The confession monologue? Pick one, and then ask yourself, were you watching a strategist, or were you watching a performer? Were you admiring intelligence, or were you just laughing too hard to notice he was losing? Tell me in the comments. I want to know the exact moment you bought the lie. This is the part where most channels beg you to subscribe. I'm not going to do that. But if this video made you see Tyrion differently, not as a genius, not as a fraud, but as something more honest than both, then you already think like we do here. We're building an empire of people who don't just watch stories, they read through them. They read between the lines. And if you're still here, you're already one of us. You know what to do. Tyrion spent his whole life trying to outsmart everyone in the room. But his father? Tywin never needed to outsmart anyone. He made people afraid to walk into the room in the first place. And the way Tywin built power, real, institutional, generational power, the kind Tyrion never even understood, that's the video that's going to ruin every Lannister scene you've ever loved. That video is right here. See you there. Until then, stay cult.